And you guys miss none of the action. But okay, we are getting into map number 3. It's tied up 1-1 for the IEM Katowice main event. This is actually, there's some confusion about this on Twitter. Just to clarify, this is actually the Winter Championship, guys. It's not actually classified as Spring just yet. And that's maybe because the Groundhog saw his shadow? I don't remember how that works. Either way, game number 3. Spawning the bottom right side of the map. Just took a pretty harsh loss. We'll see if he brings it back. It's CM Storm's Polt.
I think if it sees its shadow, it's like 6 more weeks of winter.
Son of a son.
Yeah. Not sure about that. In the top right, as the red Zerg, he is Lambo.
Actually, I wonder if that is a global thing or if that is strictly an American thing. Because I don't even know if we do that in Canada, to be perfectly honest. I just know Groundhog Day because of the movie with that had very little to do with the actual groundhog itself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think it is probably just an American thing, and it makes no sense. Most importantly.
Well, in fairness, there's a lot of American things that don't make no sense, all right?
So... In fairness, there's a lot of things in every country that don't make any sense.
Well, America kind of has, like, the biggest one, though, what with Trump winning.
Let's just not talk about that, you know? Let's just, like, not remind ourselves that he won a bunch of the states for Republican.
Make Donald Trump again. I love that Oliver. That segment is so good. Okay, John Oliver, my man. Aside, we do have a thing to discuss with Lilac Crest, and that's the spawn locations, actually. So while it's way too early to jump into this and be like, oh my god, Polt's going to go blank because of blank, like, I'm not a pro gamer, guys. I'm not even going to try and tell you that. But it's worth noting that the spawn locations actually do favor Polt a little bit if Lambo were to take a blind third and didn't get the scout off. Of course, those drops are still going to be a little bit favorable if he takes his base as a third or fourth, you name it. But I think for Lambo, we saw Roach Ravager work once. And it worked pretty nice. Timings were great. We saw it fail once. Went to the macro side of it, and it looked terrible. I don't know what he goes for again. Maybe he's just really comfortable with Roach Ravager, and he's just going to keep trying to brute force Polt. And if he does, I see the best of luck. But Polt is, if nothing else, a very adaptive player. And he's not somebody who's been super innovative with builds and requires catching his opponents off guard with, like, ghost timings or something strange like that. Like, he's still going to go Marine Tank, and each time just kind of, like, what is that, the Borg, like, assimilate or adapt and just, like, you know, be more prepared for it each time.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Borg assimilation, Roger.
I was trying to remember, like, if they do that thing where they change their shields. It was, like, the bullshit reason you could never shoot them, that sort of thing.
I think that's... Lambo honestly got a little lucky with that last game. So if he goes to Roach Ravager again, I really do feel quite confident about Polt just being able to hold on. If Polt's 2 supply depots had both been raised, so that's one in the natural and one in the main, I think that actually would have given enough time, of course, and also enough micro on the tank. Because otherwise, Lambo was losing. Like, he was losing his third base, he had lost his fourth, he was barely reinforcing.
I don't disagree with the timing, but I'm going to disagree with the luck aspect of that, because he very intentionally saw the double drops around his fourth. And rather than stick around trying to clean up, he said, oh, you're missing 16 Marines from your army, I'm a go.
Well, yeah, like, and his timing was actually really good. Like, it was 1-1 Roach speed and even pneumatized Carapace. Like, that was all great, but it was the fact that Polt didn't do everything he was supposed to. That is the tiniest bit of luck for Lambo.
I'm still not sold on calling it luck, but it's not a topic I really care too much to argue either way. Some Lings are going to chase down the Reaper, which, you know, that's cool. Get rid of that threat. No more scouting. Polt probably going to scan again. We've seen it do it twice. Wouldn't be surprised to see it a third time. Actually, I guess the question is, do you think Polt's going to take the faster third or 2-base it as a response to that last game?
2-base it because I think it's Lilac Crest, not because of the last game.
Actually, that's a fair point, yeah. Get sometimes caught up on the revenge aspect. You know, that's more of like a euthermal than a Polt thing.
Actually, Polt does better than the third CC, so he's going for, like, I guess the defensive tank and a single drop, which is going to give him some, you know, like, harassment, but a little bit of defense, so he's not really going to have to worry about the early game. It is surprising to see a Terran go for third base on Lilac. It's the less common for sure, but it is doable. And any spawn location, but... I guess horizontal is where we see it the least. Vertical is a little more common.
Just a quick note, because we've seen this brought up in chat a couple of times today, guys. For those who are unfamiliar with our Game Heart overlay, down here in the bottom left by the names, the score and the best of will always be displayed, in case you're ever confused. And come back to Base Straight TV in the future. Now, Queens are being corralled around. There's not enough transfused energy here, so he does have to be careful about losing these. They're the only way to deal with the medevac. Lambo losing out on a lot of mining here and really just doesn't have the capability to clean this up just yet. It's kind of getting a bit sour on him. Drones might need to just be pulled into the action. I mean, this is 4 Marines getting way too out of hand. Like, this is...
Yeah.
Lambo, man, we just finished talking a good game for you. Don't do this.
That was a lot of damage for just a single drop without stim too. Way too much for Lambo to actually take in. Of course, he was trying to once again transfer over into roaches. So if his roach runners went a little bit earlier, that would have been less difficult. If he just waited for lings as opposed to sending in like 4 or 6 at a time, probably would have done a lot better. So definitely some mishandling on that, and Polt takes a nice lead. If he had a follow-up of a 2-base push, he'd probably look pretty good too, but he is going for that 3rd CC, so it's about the defense for him now.
So while this goes on, there's a kind of cool aspect to live events that doesn't get discussed a lot. And I can't say that this happens all the time, but we saw this at our tournament, and I've seen it a couple times like IEMs and most importantly the BlizzCon Grand Finals, where you've got this extra element where you've got players around you that you normally don't have. And while Lambo might be struggling right now, it's a world of difference of him having to go into, say, Game 4 blindly versus having somebody like Hearthstone or another teammate calm him down, put him in the corner, rub your shoulders like boxing style, and be like, look, dude, hit him with the left jab this time instead of the right. Discuss strategy and whatnot. I think the best was watching all the players, like watching MMA try and help innovation at BlizzCon and so forth. Like, just, it's cool seeing that interaction because you don't have that at home. You really don't. Skype's definitely not the same thing.
Yeah. Some crew spread just being cleaned up, not a bad use of a drop. Does obviously see that it is roaches, not labeling Yuta, which Lambo has not shown us in this best of 5 yet. He already did a good map for it with roaches. That was ruins. Probably gonna see dusk towers. Sneeze. Oh god.
Okay. You know the worst feeling is? It's not when you sneeze, it's when you've got the feeling like you need to sneeze, but you can't. You get stuck up there.
Sure.
That's okay, because maybe you've got my sneezes. I tend to have like a bad case of the sneezes when I wake up and cast, but I'm glad that's not happening today. So thank you for accepting my curse on my behalf. Now, Polt does have his 3rd down. It's mining pretty happy. I wish we had the income graph so we could show you guys what exactly was going on with that drop earlier hurting Lambo the way it did. But regardless, they are coming into the mid-game now with fairly even supplies. Lambo does have an upgrade lead, but that's about to be gapped or bridged as this gap closes with these upgrades finishing right now. Difference is, unlike the previous time they fought, and remember, Game 1 being our reference, there's infestors out much earlier, which means fungal growths go to use sooner and also means they're generating energy faster.
Yeah, Lambo is not doing that attack like he did last game with 1-1 and like a max alt. He is trying to get up to that hive, so playing a lot more defensive himself.
Oh, can he get the fungos? No.
Not looking like it. Polt is also like he's doing what Polt does best, which is harass a little bit while getting a big army back at home. There he starts his upgrades too. He knows that hive is on the way.
Oh, Lambo just lost like 3 overlords simultaneously.
Yeah, the Vikings still doing work.
Yeah, that's a pretty harsh supply block, actually. 6 overlords need to be made right now. That's 600 minerals that should have been in anything else. Yeah. Now he is swapping over to melee, so we are going to see the dedication to Hive Tech this game and not stick on Roach Ravager unless he's, I guess, gets forced into it. But the attack in the main does commence, and unfortunately, Lambo had mispredicted what was going on. Chasing after the Viking does leave him exposed here to the Marines. Drone's going to get crowded into a corner, and frankly, he doesn't have the damage to clean this up before they all die. Oh, no. Oh, it's a slaughter. Oh, God.
Yeah. Drone's going down here, a couple on the 3rd base. Polt just dropping left and right, literally.
He definitely could have fungled those in the main. Lambo's definitely being scattered and torn apart right now because he's not got the best reactions happening. But again, 58 drones isn't bad. 4 bases isn't bad. And with Ultralisks on the way, we are getting to that point in the game where we're going to have to see what Polt's response to it is. But not before Lambo has to fend off one gigantic attack. That is a large amount of tanks. That's a low amount of medevacs. It's a high amount of bio. Everything here you want before your opponent's got ultras out.
Yeah. This is going to be quite a difficult push for Lambo to stop. He's just purely depending on these good infestor fungals and the corrosive bile. Like, otherwise his army is going to just go down real quick, like, to bio and this many tanks. Polt being a little careful. He's not actually spreading out his medevacs, but he's spreading out his tanks. He's pre-spreading his units a little bit too. He knows that he's on a timer, but you don't really want to just, like, borsh in because you're gonna get hot in the fungals and corrosive bile. So he's playing it pretty safe. He's about to be at that ledge that is difficult to break, where you can start abusing the natural too. And he's a 4th base on the way, so he's not just going all in with this.
Well, we got the fungal growths coming down. Not sure how helpful they'll be in this situation. They do keep everything in place so the corrosive biles land on those tanks. This doesn't end up going too badly for Lambo initially, but sitting in range of so many of those tanks takes a lot of damage. Kite is playing so close to finishing, but Lambo with no gas, no minerals to make Ultralisks.
Well, that is why you do this push, so at the very least, they don't have enough to get more than 1 or 2 Ultralisks.
Oh, God,
I mean, you
round
could
two's
like
coming.
literally afford 1. I think Polt has done it in this game, but maybe Lambo can really bring it back. There was some really neat focus fire on the tanks, from the tanks on the infestors, that is. That really helped the engagement, but I think just the mass amount of tanks is what helped the most.
This is a nice concave, but with the bio and the tanks, yeah, you're right, this is a little too much, and poor Lambo so close. This is like Icarus, he flew too close to the sun. He almost had Ultras. GG. All right, so that's a 2-1.